Hello everybody, Rachel Werner, Tops' nutrition and fitness editor. Guess what? Today, I am making Maggie Thorison's Sunrise Bowl that is in Tops News at the moment. So if you got your magazine, you'll be able to make this. If you're not a Tops member yet, you'll get an idea, a little bit of a sneak peek of some of the recipe content that we include every month in the Tops News magazine, as well as on our website. For members, we have an entire just recipe portal. We do a recipe of the month that we feature every month, and there's tons of recipes from past issues or things that were created just to be shared on the website for exclusively the members. So let's get started. The one thing I love about this recipe is that it is super easy to make and assemble, because essentially all you need is rice. She calls for yellow rice, and now there are, actual packets that are pre-made in the store that you can make. Or, as I've said before in previous recipe demo videos, I love making big batches of rice at the beginning of the week, and then I can just assemble meals as I go, especially if I need to take lunch with me on the go somewhere, if I'm packing up this summer from a road trip, and I don't want to have to worry about finding restaurants or eating out. If it's just more of a 5-hour drive and I'm, staying in a place that has a refrigerator, then, it's so handy just to make big batches of rice and then divvy it up based on serving and portion sizes. And so one of the things, like I said, so you could buy a pre-made package of yellow rice, and Maggie kind of gives a shout out to a certain brand that she really digs in the recipe in the magazine. What I did though was I had last night made a bunch of brown rice, and then I just added turmeric to turn it yellow, and which is what I'm gonna use for my bowl today. The other ingredients that she calls for is red and orange peppers. You could also use yellow, you could sub in green. I love a flexitarian recipe, and this one 100% is. A little bit of cabbage. She says specifically red or purple cabbage, so I already got that in the bowl that I'm using for it. One of the options is grilled chicken. I'm using plant-based chicken since y'all know I'm vegan, but again, as long as you stick with the appropriate serving size amount, you could sub in turkey, you could sub in tofu, you could sub in maybe a little bit of steak, if you're grilling this summer, got some leftover meat from a barbecue. Again, just stick to that single serving size, you're good to go. You can put that in this bowl. Other things is a little cilantro to go on top, which we'll do that at the end. And then one of the other options that Maggie gives is tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, because those, especially for those of you who garden, those are 100% coming in season at the moment. Now, I will say, I'm waiting. My neighbor across the street is an amazing gardener. She makes tomatoes and they are so good. So I'm still waiting. I'm a bit farther north. I'm in Minnesota. So I'm waiting for the fresh local tomatoes to come in season. So to me, I'm going to go ahead and sub in some chopped cucumber instead of the cherry tomatoes in my bowl today, but it's still going to be super colorful. It's going to be nutrient dense. And so let's get to it. Like I said, everything is pre-made. The other thing I love about this is that other than the rice and the chicken or whatever other protein source you're using, everything else is raw, and I think especially right now, one of the best ways to try and eat more in season and get in more fruits and veggies, and it cuts down on cook time too, right? You just get your veggies fresh, wash them, chop, cut, slice, however you prefer to have them, and then you can just put it with your protein and maybe a grain if you want one, either quinoa or rice, millet, and you're good to go. I love how easy it makes it, right? Fresh veggies just taste so good, and it's just a way to get some easy, more veggies in, and sometimes fruit. Have a little fruit for dessert if you're interested. And so Maggie's a big fan of putting the rice in the middle. There's this cool trick what you can do is that you could take rice and put it in a mini little cup if you have any of those ice cream serving dishes, and then let it sit, and then for a minute or two when it's super hot, and then you can turn it upside down and then lift it off, and it'll be in this perfect little circle. So that's an option. I'm not doing it that way, but if you want to get in that perfect little circle, sometimes that's how folks do it. Just a little home chef tip for anybody who's interested in having it look that perfect. If it's just something you're eating yourself and your hands are freshly cleaned, you can also shape it in a little mound, which is something I'm gonna do here. So just a little bit, make it a little fancy. Like I said, I'm eating this. My hands are clean. This is how, like I said, but in restaurants, they do it in like the little cups. So other things I want you to keep in mind for this summer's tips is that, this recipe as well. So again, if you stick with the chicken, it is going to be nut-free. This bowl is entirely gluten-free. Soy-free. So just keep in mind that, again, if you've got guests coming over, family visiting, and you're looking for options and you've got people with different dietary needs, this recipe works super well for that. Okay, done and done. We've got my little mound here. This is gonna look so pretty. Next, I'm gonna add my peppers, which are already pre-chopped. I did dice, that's what's in the recipe, but again, you could do sliced if that works better for you. And also now I'm gonna add in a little bit of chicken, use a different spoon. Sometimes it's good to use different utensils for protein versus definitely like with knives. I always like rinse off my knife. If I don't use a different knife altogether, then I'll clean it in between cutting, let's say like tofu, or if I'm making chicken for my daughter, then I'll like use a different knife or wash off the one I'm using before I start cutting veggies. That's just a good like hygiene tip. Want to keep everybody healthy. Okay, so now I'm gonna add my cucumbers on the side. Get a little green, because I got my red. I wanted this to look like super colorful all together, and it is. The photo in the magazine is just gorgeous that Maggie took as well. And like I said, I'm just gonna have a little bit more green in my bowl since I'm putting the cucumbers in there. I've already got the cabbage, and voila. There's the sunrise bowl, everybody. Now, one of the other options that Maggie gives, which I'm gonna show right now, is you can add in just a smidge, because again, this is very low sodium. That's the other big bonus for anyone who is watching like their sodium intake. This recipe is 100% low sodium, especially since you don't need to add any salt into the rice. I mean, obviously there's already a little bit of sodium in the meat, depending on what you use, but maybe not. But one of the things you do is take a little bit of oil, so that would be like your fat exchange, like she says, just a drizzle if you want to add a little bit of more flavor. Now, personally, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on top of my rice, just as, like I said, I did add some turmeric to it, so just a little that spice, but you just a drizzle, just a smidge, done and done. Spring all over. You also have the option of adding a little lime spritz in. That was something else that Maggie had called for in her recipe, so I'm just adding that in. Yeah, this is looking around. Now I'm just putting this all over everything because I love me some lime. Like, let's get at it. Done, done, and done. And last but not least, she says, add a couple, leaves, few sprigs of fresh cilantro to the top. And yet again, that's it. This video, it's less than 10 minutes. Like I said, easy breezy, especially when I love this because leftovers, right? Pretty much other than the fresh veggies I had to cut, everything else was just leftovers from my fridge that I had from other meals I had made in the last couple days. So it's a great way for you to use up remaining grains. And those for you who are batch cooked, this is an easy one that you can have everything prepped ahead of time and just assemble when you want to eat it throughout the week. So thank you for tuning in again for this month's July's Recipe of the Month video. Please let us know if there's anything that you were looking for in terms of nutrition content. If you love a video, like you're like, okay, I have a recipe that I've loved since childhood and I'm thinking of how can I adapt it for the healthy lifestyle that I am trying to live right now, right? Like, okay, what swap substitutes? Is there something that you're looking for, different breakfast ideas, right? Drop the comments in the notes here on this video. Remember to like and share too, because the more we can get going in the community, sometimes I notice like in the comments, other people watching, sharing, we all get more ideas. I get more ideas, like members get more ideas from each other. So if you decide to swap somebody else into this bowl, if you make it, definitely add that to the comments as well. And tell a friend like, hey, I love this. It was quick, easy, it was delicious. And that's how we just keep growing together and living and making our goals, right? Day by day, step by step. Check us out on Facebook. I mentioned the website earlier. We're also active on Instagram and Discord. And we will see you next month with a new Recipe of the Month.